Word is Tua rejected his last contract and he wants over $50 million per season. Question is, well, a couple questions that come to mind. Does he deserve even something near $50 million a year? And two, if he does get, let's say, even $50 million, let's say he doesn't get golf money, he gets slightly under golf money, whatever the case may be, what does this do for the likelihood that Dak gets a deal? Maybe if he gets something that's a little bit underwhelming, that it could almost not regress the QB market slightly enough to get Dak a deal done, but it could maybe potentially open the door a little bit. If he ends up getting something above Goff or right at Goff, then Dak Prescott getting extended, it becomes harder to imagine, although Jerry's capable of anything in Jerry's world. We could literally, just like the Cardinals said we will not extend Kyler Murray, and then later in that offseason they extended Kyler Murray. I believe that that's still possible for Dak Prescott and the Cowboys, but as of this moment, it does feel as if we're far apart from having a Dak and Dallas Cowboy, redoing the vows, so to speak, which is important for CeeDee Lamb. His dynasty value is on the line in Dallas. So this does have a lot of correlation to a lot of other things, but as of right now, Tua's rejecting his current deal. He wants $50 million. Let's talk about it. The Fantasy Football Show begins now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
From the FantasyFootballShow.com news desk, here is your breaking news.
So we've danced around this topic quite a bit, that Tua doesn't have the makings, in my opinion, of a guy that should be getting paid anywhere near top 5, top 6 quarterback money. Now, sometimes a guy like Goff, you look at what the Detroit Lions did, and you say, okay, Goff may not be a top 5 quarterback, but Detroit has to lock him down. They have to, because what they have is working, and they almost made it to the Super Bowl. They should have won this game. And Detroit's in a very different spot than the Miami Dolphins, who crapped the bed here and have a quarterback in Tua Tagvailoa who is very, very much a very risky player in terms of the concussions. We're not sure. No one's sure. I'm not sure. Nobody is. Even he's not sure. His doctors aren't sure. No one is sure if he could ever get rid of this concussion situation, or if he's one hit away from his career being over, because he, in my opinion, was put in such a vulnerable position. We don't know what the ill effects are going to be for him in terms of recidivism with concussions, because the one thing we do know, it's a fact that you're more likely, not 100%, because of guys like Brandon Cooks who suffered concussions and all of a sudden didn't. But we do know that you are more likely to suffer a concussion every single time you have one, that you become higher probability percentage of having the next one because of the consecutive concussions they come quicker and quicker. This is why Steve Young and Kurt Warner and a bunch of other quarterbacks step away from the game, or have to consider stepping away from the game, and it becomes controversial, because once you start having them, it starts getting less and less, little head taps. And the one thing about Tua that's very concerning is that when Tua would get his concussions, it wasn't always like a huge direct hit to the back of the head, or he gets slammed down and have whiplash type of effects or something. He would literally like get tackled and his head would kind of love tap the ground and he'd be concussed. And so he worked on it in the offseason. Now, granted, he didn't have the issue last year and we were concerned about it. And some might say, okay, that puts it all to bed. But for me, when you're about to give somebody a $50 million per year contract or something along those lines, it becomes a conversation point again. And Tua Tagovailoa seemingly rejected at least one contract offer from Miami. Tua is reportedly looking for over $50 million per season. That's when this kind of comes up again. It rears its ugly head, this conversation. And I know this conversation pisses some people off because they say, who are you to be talking about the likelihood of a concussion, but I have covered injury for 20 plus years in this industry, so I do feel like I have a pretty good handle on this. And I would say that there's a high likelihood that Tua Tagovailoa has not only another concussion, but has a significant increase in concern to the point where at some point he walks away from the game prematurely. Does that happen right away? I don't know. Could he never have another concussion ever again? Absolutely. But again, we're not talking about him being under his current contract or back him up and let's just play it safe. We're talking about giving him $50 million per season on a big, huge, fat contract that's going to guarantee him upwards of $180 to $200 million guaranteed. That is a big problem for me if I'm the check writer of this situation, because Tua Tagovailoa unfortunately comes with this pre-existing situation and condition. It's not his fault, and I hope he does get it for his family and for himself. He deserves the money just by taking the abuse he's taken. So, like, I'm not rooting against him getting the money. I'm more saying that this is going to affect Dak Prescott's contract, whether in one way or another, positive or negative, depending on what the numbers are. This affects Tyreek Hill and Waddle and Achane and Jalen Wright and Mostert for this year. The fact that Miami Mike McDaniel didn't bring in Fields is a failure in my mind. Every team that didn't bring in Fields, and we're talking about 30 NFL teams that had a chance to do what the Pittsburgh Steelers did. 30 NFL teams, 31 if you include the Bears, in terms of keeping him at the cost of what they gave him up for. So 31 teams failed. Only one team, the Pittsburgh Steelers, succeeded in bringing in the most cost-effective backup quarterback in the National Football League, outside of maybe what the Falcons are doing with the Penix Jr. and Kirk Cousins situation. Pittsburgh, they're covered. Pittsburgh is good to go at quarterback. They've beefed up their line. They've done great things. Pittsburgh has had a great offseason. The Atlanta Falcons, whether you believe it or not, it's okay if you disagree with me. I could care less. I'm sorry, but I don't. I don't care. I think the Atlanta Falcons smashed it. And I think everybody complaining about Penix Jr. and the drafting of Penix Jr., it's laughable to me because the Falcons are going to what? Prove everyone wrong. They have the makings of a winning team. This is as good of a team as the Detroit Lions walking into last year's playoffs, walking into 2024. You're looking at the Lions. This is a team that's right where the Lions were walking into last season. And if you think, oh, that's crazy, you're looking with blinders on in the rearview mirror. You're trying to play, hey, what I know now, I knew back then. Because what I'm saying is that the way everyone felt about the Lions, very questionable team. Oh, they're good. They got a lot of upside, but will they be able to do it? Can Goff really do it? Everybody liked them, but they didn't love them. And the Lions and the Texans and the Bengals before them, years before that, everyone doubts these teams. And the Atlanta Falcons are on their way, and they just secured up the most important position in the NFL, and they're sleeping like babies at night in Atlanta. And everybody complaining and playing Monday morning quarterback and acting like they understand what's going on. Guess what? The Falcons are going to absolutely show everybody that this two-headed quarterback monster situation is a brilliant way to organize your QB room and attack and stave off injury, and maybe you just see other teams start doing it. And my point in all that was to say that I don't think the Dolphins did that. Obviously, they didn't do that. They should have brought in Fields, a guy that could really, I think, amplify this offense in certain ways if he did get in there, and they didn't bring him in. Instead, at the cost of a 4th or 5th or 6th rounder, whatever you could get the Bears to accept, I think an unconditional 4th would have beat the pants off the other offer to the point where the Bears wouldn't have said, oh, we'll do what Fields wants. They would have said, never mind your feelings. Fields, we're going to get an unconditional. This isn't conditional anymore. 6th rounder conditional to a 4. We're going to get a 4. A straight up 4 from the Miami Dolphins for your services. That's what should have been done. It wasn't. And quite frankly, as much as I love Achane, as much as I love Tyreek Hill, as much as I love Waddle, and I do for 2024, and as much as I think, you know what, I'm not gonna lose sleep and avoid drafting some of my favorite players like Achane because I'm trying to predict that Tua's gonna take a headshot in Week 5. I'm not gonna play that game in 2024, but I will say I don't know how comfortable I feel giving this man $50 million, having no real good backup plan. You didn't take Joe Milton. Why didn't you take Joe Milton? Milton was, what, a 6th-round pick? Why didn't the Raiders take Joe Milton? Why didn't the Miami Dolphins take Joe Milton? Joe Milton's pretty damn good for a backup shot-in-the-dark party trick quarterback. And it's a little frustrating for me to not see a good backup plan in place and be offering this guy $50 million a year. So that's kind of my thinking here. File on into the building. We've got over 100 people in the building, sum total on the show right now from the different platforms. We've got about 83 from YouTube. Let's get those thumbs up. We got 24 watching on YouTube only. I'm sorry, 84 watching on YouTube, only 24 thumbs up. So let's punch that thumb up button. Let's get over 100 in here, and let's do it live. File on in. Phone lines are open. Dial into the show.
Live from the
show. Call into the show.
Dial in if you got a question. We'll attack this topic at hand and anything else you may or may not have. I don't know if I'll be here for 2 hours tonight. Last night we came in and we were going to do like an hour show and it ended up being like 2 hours. That's how I do it sometimes. So I might try and make this one semi shorter, but we'll have to see. First in the building tonight was Rock Out. What's up, Rock Out? Blake in the building. Appreciate Blake. Appreciate everybody being here. I'm hearing a few people talk about Estime becoming the number 1 back in Denver. Smitty, what are your thoughts on that? First of all, I don't know why people are hoping that will be the case. I don't know that there's a lot of good, solid evidence of that. I think anything you're hearing from anything you're hearing from Sean Payton is probably not true, or he's leading you astray on purpose. He even said that last year when he was asked about Javonte Williams' availability for Week 1. He said he looks on track. I don't anticipate him being put on the PUP. He goes, however, I wouldn't tell you one way or the other anyway. He's like, I wouldn't trust anything I say because I'm not going to come out here and tell you what I'm going to do. So we really don't know what they're going to do. All we know is last year we saw a committee to an extreme degree. And bringing in yet another running back to add to McLaughlin, Javonte, and now Estime, to me, Sick Nasty feels like an avoid. I think it just got more complicated than before. Elvis says, I have an Infinity Stone. Appreciate you, Elvis, being in the building. Tua going for the bag, says Andrew. There is legit like 9 decent QBs in the NFL. I don't know if I agree with that. I think the QB pool is very deep, but maybe in terms of like, semi-elite, maybe. I don't know if that's what you're meaning. There's a lot of good QBs in the league. JD5 better than those bums. JD5 is a monster, bro. Absolute monster. JD5 is going to be a top 5 quarterback in the National Football League. You getting a draft in, Smitty? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I feel like drafting tonight. I might drop a private link to a private draft. In fact, let me do that right now. I think that's what we'll do tonight. So this is a private league draft. It's not going to be one of those best ball manias or anything like that. It's going to be a private draft. $3. First place will get $20. But you do enough of these, they're damn fun. And they go all through instead of stopping week 17. And you get divided up into new groups, etc. This will be a league between the 12 of us all season long. Okay? So jump into this draft. I'll drop the link right now. $3 entry. Hit the link. Underdog Fantasy will give you 50% match on your first deposit all the way up to $250. So if you deposit $500, they give you $250. You deposit the minimum of $10, they'll give you $5. So they'll give you 50% your first deposit all the way up to that $250. So hit that link right now. Jump into that draft as we await some phone calls. I don't know if anybody has called yet. I'm sorry, but phone lines are up now. I had them closed for a second. I'm sorry. So hit that link. Jump into the draft. 6 more to start. Looks like 6 people jumped in already. Let's Let's see here. Broncos will be running back by committee, says Matt. Oh, I agree with that, as I just mentioned. Don't be a double down Donnie like the Giants, says Dick. I don't know what you're referring to. Mike White could start if Tua sits. If Tony Anderson lives up to the potential. I don't know. Some of you guys are having some conversations. I don't know. Tua will never see $50 million a year. Even if it's the average salary. I mean, yeah, I don't know what the contract offer is. He's seemingly, as the report suggests right here, rejected at least one offer, but he's seeking right around 50 plus. So we'll see. And it would be a mistake for somebody with his condition, unfortunately, to say that. I'm not saying I don't want him to get paid. I do. I almost wish he does get 50 mil, because this guy's got potential brain, issues that his coach and his team and the NFL helped put him in position to be in this position, because his coach sent him back out onto the field. His coach had to have known. He says he didn't, but he had to have known something was wrong, because everybody watched Tua go to the ground and his fingers locked up and his arms locked up. And he had what was appearing to be, from a layman's perspective, right, watching TV, like a seizure. And everyone's like, oh, my God, what's going on? He was having a concussion, and he was going through an episode. And then when he got up, he almost fell down. His teammates had to carry him. We all watched it. And then his coach just let him continue to play, and then he got concussed again. So he deserves $50 million. The league should be paying him $50 million. They should cover his contract, to be honest, the way this situation went out. But I don't know that he'll get that in terms of, contract offer from the team. I agree, but who the hell knows? Quarterbacks are getting paid like crazy. So, and it's almost like big men in the NBA. Remember, especially back in the day, if you were a big man, you got the big contract, no matter if you scored 4 points a game or not. Now everybody's a big man and they're elite players. It used to be if you were 6'10" and you couldn't even play basketball, but you could score 4 points a game, you would get a contract that was as big as like an elite star. Now everybody's just a big man point guard, 8 to 7'1" point guards in the NBA. It's getting crazy. Dawson from Utah, you're live.
What do you think of this trade? I traded Justin Jefferson and Justin Fields and Troy Franklin for Devontae Adams and Joe Burrow in a Superflex league.
I assume it's a keeper league, right? Or is it Dynasty?
Dynasty, yeah.
Okay, Burrow and Adams is what you got. And what did you give up?
I traded Justin Jefferson, Justin Fields, and Troy Franklin.
What about Herbert? Didn't you say Herbert a minute ago?
No, I didn't say Herbert.
Okay. Franklin. Thought I heard you say Herbert. Okay, so you traded JJ, Fields, and Franklin for Burrow and Adams.
Yeah.
So, this is a tough trade to evaluate after the fact, because it's like it's one of those things where you need quarterbacks as Superflex. You do, and if you're drafting over again from scratch right now, Joe Burrow is going ahead of JJ. So in a Superflex, again, everybody that's watching, this is a Superflex draft. Joe Burrow gets drafted ahead of JJ every single time. So at the end of the day, you did get 12-person draft filled up. We're good to go. I believe we're good to go. It's my pick. I'll go Jamar Chase. The question is, does Fields win the job and become the starter in Pittsburgh? And if he does, then you're going to end up getting screwed on this. If Fields ends up never even getting the job, or if he does, he fades away, or he doesn't get some job in the future to be a starter, then this Joe Burrow side is actually better than JJ. I know some 1 QB people might not understand that if you don't play Superflex. So it all comes down to Fields. or vice versa. I know you're getting Joe Burrow, but I'm explaining the sides. It's tough, bro. I mean, who were your quarterbacks before you made this trade? When you were waiting on Fields but had JJ, who were your two quarterbacks?
So it's an 8-man, so it's a 3 QB league is how we have it set up.
What do you mean a 3 QB league? It's a super flex 3 QB league?
So there's 2 super flex and 1 QB.
Jeez. That makes it even tougher then. I mean, that's good information to give me at the jump, bro. You're asking me to evaluate something blind. That changes everything. I would probably say, yeah, Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow side. You won this trade. If Fields ends up becoming a top 10 quarterback, though, it could bite you in the rear end later. But up front, so answer the question. Who are your quarterbacks before you make this trade?
Lamar Jackson and Caleb Williams.
See, I don't know it's on paper, it's still a good trade because, again, Joe Burrow gets taken before JJ, especially in a 3 QB league. Joe Burrow, I don't say 8-manner, but 3 QB league, you're definitely going to see Joe Burrow have tremendous value over JJ. But if Fields works out, you're going to be upset.
Yeah.
But I venture to say in an 8-man league, your receivers and running backs are probably really good, right? You probably don't even get that hurt unless you drafted bad.
Yeah, I mean, I think Adams is going to be like a top 10 receiver this year.
Well, yeah, but if it's Dynasty. Well,
yeah,
I know. Anyway, you can't look. You can't beat yourself up over this. You got Joe Burrow, okay? So no matter what, you're fine. It's a 3 QB league. You're good to go, bro. All right, hang tight, Dawson. Mute yourself real quick. 940 caller. What is your name? Where are you calling from? 940. Okay. Not prepared. Put it on mute, Dawson, if you could, because I hear some reverb. 940 caller. We'll give you one more try, bro. What's going on, 940? Where are you calling from? What's your name?
What's up, man? I'm calling from Texas. My name's Jay.
Jay from Texas. What's up, Jay?
Yeah. I was thinking about it's a 1 QB league, PPR Dynasty league. Should I trade Bijan and George Pickens for Amon-Ra and Jonathan Brooks?
Amon-Ra?
Yeah, Amon-Ra, same round.
Amon-Ra?
Yeah.
say it one more time. Say it one more time for us, slowly.
All right. Bijan and George Pickens for Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Jonathan Brooks.
Pickens and Brooks.
Yeah, it's a 1 QB PPR Dynasty league.
Okay. So St. Brown and Brooks, Bijan, Pickens.
Yeah.
That's close, bro. That's a really close.
I got Bijan and Pickens, and I got Bijan and Gibbs. So I was trying to, upgrade on the wide receiver a little bit.
That's pretty tough. I mean, Armor-All, as you call him. Armor-All St. Brown. Armor-All St. Brown is pretty smooth. He keeps it clean.
Yeah. Yeah, he got the QB security too, so I'm like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah,
he keeps it real clean. Hey, guys, what do you think about this trade? Which side do you prefer? There's arguments for both sides. I mean, number one, Bijan in Dynasty, I take over St. Brown, but it's not that crazy far apart. And then Pickens and Brooks, it just depends on how you view Brooks. And it depends on how you view Pickens. I mean, these are wild cards right here. And so if you think Jonathan Brooks is a top 6 to 10 running back, then you're loving the St. Brown side. If you're like, ACL, I'm concerned about the offense. You know what I mean? So yeah, Armor-All, he's good for a decade of football. Bijan, as much as we love him and we think he's invincible, he's got a 4 to 5 year more shelf life. So
yeah, I was just looking at the stock. If I would have kept Bijan away from the explode and then sell him high, right now he's kind of like, he's high, but he's not as high as he's going to be. So that's how I was trying to look at it.
All right, so what do you guys like the Armor All side, or what are we doing? I like the St. Brown Brooks side, I guess, says Hoosiers. See, Hoosiers knows it's close. That's why it's very close. I think I nailed that on the head there. St. Brown side, I guess. Elvis wants the Bijan side. Bijan side by Big Sonny. I got more hope for Pickens than Brooks, says Silver Soul. See, that's what I'm saying. Like, you may or may not. Dawson, call back if you want to ask another question. I appreciate you holding. If you really do want to take a gamble on Brooks being a top 6 to 10 running back and you feel good about that, then this side probably does feel a little bit better. But if you could, so I don't mind this side at all if you really, really like Jonathan Brooks. Yeah, as much as I love Bijan, in a dynasty, many would say, give me the wide receiver that's give me 10 years. Like, I could understand that. I probably myself draft Bijan over Amon-Ra over and over and over and over, but that's me. But I could easily accept someone's argument of the wide receiver value. And then if you think Jonathan Brooks is a top 10 running back, this is the side to go with. But it's all on you, bro. I mean, I could sit here and pretend I know exactly what's going to happen with Jonathan Brooks. I just like Jonathan Brooks a lot. But
yeah, I seen your when you had the graph up about the running back schedule. So Jonathan Brooks has a good schedule.
Very good.
So does Bijan. So I was trying to
Yeah, very good schedule. He has such a good schedule that that I'm not even like worried about his come out party, because I mean, look at this. He's got what do we have? One of the top 5 4 running backs. My schedule is differently looking. It looks a lot different than other people's. He is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th easiest schedule for running backs, which incorporates rushing and receiving stats for the RB. So he's starting off against, and this is going to change. A lot of these teams improved their defenses, got worse, etc. But the 10th ranked defense against both of that combination of rushing and receiving for RBs, 28, 20, 27, 4 Chicago, but I don't even know if Chicago is going to rank at 4. We'll see. Atlanta 18, Commanders 32. They'll be better than this. Denver 31, New Orleans, and then Giants 24, and then a bye week to kind of rest up. This bye week's pretty good because it gives him some time to, like, he's going to have some swelling in the beginning here. It's going to be, they're going to ease him in. But he's definitely going to get going on his horse during this part of the. Yeah, I like the trade either way, bro. You could convince me.
Yeah, because I got Bijan, Gibbs, and A-Chan, so I mean I could really afford to give up just to get the top wide receiver too. So yeah, I appreciate it, man. I like watching you every day, and
right,
so I appreciate you taking my call.
All right, man. Appreciate it. Later.
All right, have a good night.
All right, phone lines are open, guys. Dial in if you got a question. But very, very, very interesting questions so far tonight. Armor All. Got Armor All and Marvison. Marvison Harris is one of the... Marvison Harris and Armor All St. Brown. Bijan and Pickens have more room to grow. I like the Pickens Bijan side. This is tough. I mean, I go back and forth. I mean, it's near dead even, to be honest. There's an art, like, I would sit here if this offer was sent to me on either side. I'd be sitting there for an hour before I punch the button, yes or no. And that's just being real. I don't have the answers. A little lint on the shirt there. Or maybe that's part of the taco from earlier. Little Taco Bell action tonight. Had the 5-layer beefy burrito. 2 of them. They're good. I recommend them. Then after this, I'm gonna stream some Tulsa King. Sly Stallone. What a show. I'm embarrassed of myself that I didn't watch the show until right now. Tulsa King. It's on Paramount. I don't know if you can get it on other platforms, but I get Paramount through Amazon Prime. You can do the add-on channels. I add it on for one month, 1 week, whatever. They might even do a week trial. on Amazon. If you go onto your Roku or whatever you use and then go to the Amazon Prime channel or the app, then you open it up and you go to the channel list and it'll say add Paramount for 7-day free trial, or even if it's like $7.99 or something. It's like going to the movies. It's not like going to the movies. Movies are like $800. It's like renting a movie. You just buy Paramount for 1 month, cancel it that same night so that it gives you the 1 month. Watch Tulsa King. I'm like 5 episodes in, and I'm embarrassing myself that I did not know that this show was this good. And Frank Grillo, really like Frank Grillo. My boy Frank Grillo's in he's joining the cast. So really excited about Frank Grillo joining the season 2. And so season 2 is being filmed right now. But Tulsa King, it's kind of a mix between like Sons of Anarchy meets Banshee, which I've told all of you to watch on Amazon Prime. Banshee. You haven't seen it. If you haven't seen Banshee, you need to leave the show now and go watch it. Normally I say watch it after you watch the live stream, but if Banshee hasn't been watched, you need to leave this show right now. Go watch it. What are you doing with your life? Okay. If you have Walmart Plus, Paramount's included. I didn't know that. What's Walmart Plus? Like delivery? For St. Brown, give up Achane. Yeah, I'd rather St. Brown than Achane. I mean, you're drafting St. Brown in the top like 7 overall, bro. Achane's in the second round. Not saying Achane belongs in the second round, but like we're making this trade. We're taking St. Brown over Achane, even though we love, Kingdom is great. Yeah, Frank Grillo and Kingdom. If you haven't seen Kingdom, which is an MMA, it's not an MMA documentary or a real MMA show. It's a fake fictional character in Family Gym. It's called Kingdom. You got to watch that with Frank Grillo. I promise you that is one of the best shows I've ever seen in my entire life. Kingdom. Such an amazing find. And I found it because I like Frank Grillo. And he's amazing in this show. This is what made me think he's like one of my favorite actors right now, Frank Grillo. He's so good. But it's called Kingdom. And you're hooked within 7 minutes of the show. Absolutely hooked. And it's just it's a fictional story about a MMA gym and a family that fights, and it's not real. It's all fake, which is, it's not a documentary of any kind. It is so good. So Kingdom, Banshee, and Banshee's amazing. It's not a comedy, but the storyline's kind of like funny. But it's about a con man who meets a sheriff he's having lunch on his way into town, in a small town, and no one's ever met him. And he dies. So he takes his badge and gun and ends up going to the town to become the sheriff. It's not a comedy. It's like Breaking Bad type writing. The level of Banshee is listen to the words coming out of my mouth. The level of Banshee's writing is as good as Breaking Bad's. In some ways, it's way better in some ways because there's 8 different things going on at once. When this huge dramatic thing's taken about 3 episodes to conclude, this other dramatic thing's happening, and when that dramatic thing ends, this one's at its peak. And when this dramatic part of the show is ending, another one's developed already, and it's at its peak. And the whole time, you're just like, good God, what is going on here? Banshee's unbelievable. Banshee, Kingdom, and then Tulsa King's like a lot lower than these. Those two are so much, right. I like Tulsa King, but it's not as good. What's better, Kingdom or Banshee? They're both equal, bro. I don't know. It's like ask me who's better, Bijan or Gibbs or something, or Gibbs and Hall. Gibbs and Hall. Yeah, Gibbs and Hall is Banshee and Kingdom. All right. Any final phone calls before we head out of here? There's not much going on tonight, news wise. I wanted to get in here and discuss this Tua situation. And again, the more important part about this, the springboard conversation from Tua Tagovailoa's contract, is Dak. To be honest, and Purdy and all the impact of these situations. But if Tua gets $50 million, Dak deserves way more than Tua. It just puts a wrench in the whole potential Jerry changing his mind, So, yeah, you got to watch Kingdom, Travis. You can go to Amazon Prime in the first season. Or no, Kingdom's on Peacock. Kingdom's on Peacock. They should have a free plan or free week or something like that. But yeah, Kingdom is phenomenal. Phenomenal. So you guys got some homework to do. Kingdom, Banshee, and Tulsa King. I'm not wrong on all three of them. There is slam dunks as Tank Dell was last year. That's how slam dunk these sleeper shows are. You're going to come back and go, Banshee's the best, Smitty. I thank you. I am so sorry I didn't watch it faster. I apologize, Smitty. Kingdom was unbelievable character building. Like the character developed, the one brother, the crazy brother that's always drunk and like he's always just absolutely, I forget his name. He's always like in his underwear. He's the best character ever. And one of the brothers is there's three brothers, or there's two brothers and then a kind of like family friend that's like a brother kind of. But one of the brothers, the youngest brother, is the Jonas brother. It's one of the Jonas brothers. What's his name? Nick Jonas. Which you would think he's a great actor. It's all phenomenal. All right, Prodigal Son, I'll give it a chance. All right, yeah. So keep tabs on this Tua situation. This could trigger some sort of Dak contract or trigger no Dak contract. We'll have to find out. Rockout's calling and he wants to ask a question before we jump out of here. Marsman Rockout, what can I do for you?
Yeah, at the 6th or 7th pick, who are you taking ahead of JJ?
6 or 7, who am I taking ahead of JJ? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Who am I taking ahead of JJ? Well,
see if they're on the rankings.
And this is redraft?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say it's CMC. Let's say it's Hill. And since it's redraft, Lamb's been going here. Bijan. Jamar Chase. And if just for good measure, I'm going to go to thefantasyfootballshow.com rankings. You guys make sure you get on over there. I just dropped my best pick in every round rankings, which if you click on them, it'll show round 1. And then as an example, say Bijan, Chase, Gibbs, and Hall. And those are the only players in the round 1 box, right? So it's essentially saying in round 1, those are the best picks. Round 2, Kyron, Marvin Harrison Jr., Barkley, Achane. So my best pick in every round rankings are up. And those are highly requested rankings each year when they can't be year round because, they can't, they kind of can, but there's a certain amount of like waiting period because I don't know, it's a little harder to do those rankings updated all year. So I usually like kick them into gear in like May and then I keep them updated for the remainder of the off season. And then they can't really be year round during the season, right? I tried to do it thinking like, oh, what if I just keep the mindset of what round I would take them in, but it didn't. So they're not year round, but I do, and I will try and keep them updated in January, February next off season. But all my rankings are year round, but these are not year round. But if I go to my rankings and I say Bijan, McCaffrey, so we got personally, like I like Gibbs and Hall ahead of JJ. Some might say St. Brown. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm necessarily there. I think they're pretty close, St. Brown and JJ, to be honest, because I don't feel like JJ McCarthy's gonna be as good as everybody wanted him to be, and I don't think the fantasy football community is sick nasty. I know you feel differently. You can call in and talk about this if you want. It wouldn't hurt to have a second perspective on JJ. But honestly, like Gibbs to me. I know that Gibbs you don't have to take here. You can take Gibbs in like the 12-13 turn. But if I'm on the clock, I might take Gibbs or Hall over JJ and then JJ 8. like
Yeah,
something like that. However, though, let me preface that this is like in my one. I have one league. Like I'm playing with my boys. It's got a normal type of draft. Maybe we even show up for the draft, or if it's online or a slow draft, whatever. But if I'm in best ball, this is different. In best ball, I'm taking JJ in the 5 to 6 territory quite often because I'm presented with so many opportunities to take Gibbs at 7, 8, 9, 10 that when I get these 5 and 6 draft picks or even the 4 and 6, I am mixing it up with Jamar Chase, Bijan, JJ, St. Brown. You know what I'm saying? Best ball is so much different.
Yeah.
So best ball, I want to have variety of everything going on. And the picks 4, 5, and 6, oftentimes, I would say 60%, 70% of all my drafts will have one of Bijan, Chase, JJ, and St. Brown. And then because I want to have teams that have this draft slot to have Gibbs and Hall, I will mix those in for sure. That's the other percentage. The 40 extra percent might have that. But in best ball, you'll find me taking CMC at 1.1 almost every single time because you rarely get 1.1, so you need to take your CMC shot there. He's risky to take. He's 28 years old, but you're not going to get any shots really down here to have him, so you might as well take your stabs there, and it's going to be a low percentage anyway because every 10 drafts you do, what are you going to get, the one pick once out of 10? So that's where I take CMC. Here at this 2, 3, 4, I am traditionally going wide receiver about 60-70% of the time because, again, I have so many other opportunities to take these other guys down here. I don't want to force Bijan here. But so that's like, let's say 60-70%. But that other 30%, I am taking Bijan here early because I want to have a Bijan built team from these draft slots because they will produce different teams. So if that makes sense, in best ball, JJ's in the 5, 6, 7 range. In a normal draft where I get one shot, I honestly can't take him over Gibbs or Hall. In that setting, it's very different. Look at Tank Dell. By the way, the new Tank Dell merch is up. I don't know if anybody's seen it yet. Here's the Tank Dell merch.
Got him.
Look at this bad boy. So this is a Tank Dell like sketch that your boy did, and it's on these hoodies and t-shirts. And let me drop the link in the live chat. This is for the shirt. If you want the shirt, here's the link for the shirt. If you want the hoodie, here's the link for the hoodie. So there's the shirt, and here's the hoodie. So those are the Tank Dell, and the shirts. They look like this. They say Tank Dell. They have the logo, and they got your boy just sitting there, looking down, but in a way that it's like the guy's gonna rise up. He's coming for everybody. He's down and out right now, but he's not gonna take no for an answer, and everybody's gonna have to just deal with it. So deal with it, Tank Dell. He's coming in hot. Get ready. Travis is live on the show. What's up, Travis?
What's up, Travis?
Hey, Smitty, what's going on?
Not
What's
much.
up, Rocco?
Hey.
So with the Tua situation, I know Superfish won't like this, but I would not give him a deal like that. Like, I know he's not Danny Dimes, he's a little better, but I also kind of wonder if Danny Dimes was put in the situation Tua was, if they wouldn't be more similar. Like, they have traits to be decent to good, but they're not great. And if you're giving a quarterback that's not great $50 million, you're asking to regret it. You're asking for trouble, in my opinion.
Yeah, I hear you. I just think when you're talking about, like, okay, we're gonna roll with Tua this year, we're gonna keep his contract, we're gonna bring in a backup that we're like Joe Milton would have been perfect.
Yep.
God, why didn't people draft Joe Milton, Rattler, or Milton? You take him early. Like what is? Atlanta had the blueprint, and everybody's making fun of them. And it's frustrating, but I kind of like that everyone's making fun of him because Atlanta's going to prove everybody wrong, even though the haters are just going to say, well, Penix worked out. It was a good pick, but they shouldn't have signed Cousins to a $100 million deal. And then it's going to be negative about that, you know. But, God, I just don't understand. If it's keeping him under contract that he has, if it's rolling with Tua and then just backing him up, that I'm totally fine with. But to give him $50 million a year and what's going to be packaged into like 180 to $200 million guaranteed, that is just a dumb franchise move. I don't know if Superfish feels the same way about getting to a lockdown to the tune of like, let's call it 190 to 200 million guaranteed. I don't know what team should do that. That just doesn't make sense at all. I mean, come on. It's crazy.
Yeah, and it's like every team that has a quarterback come up for a contract, it's almost like they just like, well, this is a status quo now. We just have to go a little higher than the last one that signed, no matter who it was. It's like, when is a team?
Got him.
And I'm all for the players getting paid, but in terms of these quarterbacks, when is the team going to put their foot down and just go, no, you know what? We'll roll the dice and let's see if that really burns us if he leaves us, because 9 times out of 10 it probably isn't going to.
Yeah.
Unless you have a legitimate stud at quarterback, which you would pay him anyways, you know. It just seems a little wild. Like, even the Goff, like, I understand the Goff to a point, but it's a lot of money for like someone who's not elite.
It's still a lot to give Goff, but at least Goff, you know, just like Purdy. If the Niners give Purdy that money, the Goff money, I get it. I'm actually not going to come out and say the Niners are stupid for doing it or anything like that. I'm probably going to come out and say I don't think he's top 5. But for that team,
they're on the verge.
Yeah, for that team, the way he fits the team, just like the way Goff fits the Lions, without these two quarterbacks, the team's nothing. And with them, they're deep-seated playoff teams. They are make it to the conference championship type teams with Purdy in San Francisco. And I don't know what that's going to look like when CMC and Debo and Aiyuk, but sum total, what they've got right now, Purdy is worth it to them, because without him, everything just fizzles away after 2-3 years. So they might as well take their shot with Purdy. Same thing with Goff. Without Goff, they can't utilize all this, and he's such a good fit. He's worth overpaying. And the same thing with Tua to a degree if he didn't have, you know, the concussion situation. But I think you mix that in, and it's like, man, you're really gonna give a guy that there was doctors talking about, you know, I don't know if he should play again, and he did, and he didn't get concussed. But I don't know that necessarily. No one knows whether that necessarily means anything. He might have just he was really fortunate, and who knows? I'm not saying this is a total assumption on my part, almost reckless. But who knows if he like had some sort of symptom and he's like, if I walk off the field right now, I'm going to be done. You know, I'm not going to get a next contract next offseason. Who knows what he hid. Like, I'm just being truthful. If I was looking at $50 million in the face in per season in the offseason, and it's week 15 and I got concussed, I don't think I'd tell a soul. I go right back into that huddle and say, "What's my name?"
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Can someone tell me what the playbook is real quick? I wouldn't tell anybody. If I knew that going off the field I wouldn't be able to get $50 million a year anymore. I mean, I'm just telling you the way my mind thinks. I don't know the way Tua thinks, and I don't know if Tua went that route. But like, look, you're in the moment. You're a player. What's one concussion? You know, what's one more concussion? What's going on the field? I'm a little dazed, but I'm fine. You know, I probably have symptoms. Maybe it's not even a big one. But, like, you know, we don't know if he even truly had any sort of, you know, recidivism. But I don't know. It's Big T says, what contract did he reject? I don't know. That's the news. Seemingly is the report.
Yeah,
he seemingly rejected at least one contract offer by the Dolphins. Tua is reportedly looking for $50 million per year. Which, again, while I'm not like super duper interested in the Tua conversation as much as the collateral damage of that contract if he gets $50 million, it's really about Dak and the other, opening the door to bigger contracts for guys that are yet to get it. Purdy, Dak. It'll be interesting if the Niners have a good year but bad playoff, outing. What happens to the contract numbers that get slung at Brock Purdy? Because if Brock Purdy doesn't win a playoff game, or he wins one playoff game and then they lose right away, I think you'll have people talking about whether he's the future or not, let alone giving him the number one quarterback resetting market value. So God, isn't that crazy? Isn't that crazy how that works? Literally, how bad did Purdy play in a majority of the playoffs? He played pretty bad. He had some good moments. That game against the Green Bay Packers, where that final drive, he tucked it and ran, and he created an opportunity for his team, and they won because of it, which was great. Had he not done that and they lost that game, you would have everybody talking about who's replacing Brock Purdy. And it's weird how one small little difference, or if the Niners would have won the Super Bowl, you wouldn't have had their defensive coordinator fired. And they lost the Super Bowl. The final touchdown throw too. That final touchdown pass in the end zone. And Kelsey looks up at the monitor, right, to see if it's a touchdown. And everybody's screaming and yelling. If that got stopped by the Niner defense, then sideline Steve, they called him, their defensive coordinator, who they canned right away, he wouldn't have been fired. It's amazing how one single play or one game or two games in a row after a whole great season can determine that you're getting replaced, cut, or $50 million a year. It's insane. Insane.
Yeah, it is, because Tua really hasn't, shown any evidence that he can put him on his back and take him to a Super Bowl. Even the year Joe Flacco did it, he had an amazing run where he played out of his mind for that playoffs, and basically they paid him because he did that. He didn't really deserve the contract he got either in terms of the level of quarterback he was, but he showed, put him on. They had a great defense too, but he was lights out for those playoffs too, a lot of those games. So Tua hasn't had a run like that. He's been good, but not truly elite, in my opinion.
Yeah. I hear you. Superfish dropping a super chat. I'd rather they active his 5th-year option. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if something in the next collective bargaining will change with that, because it's the 5th-year options for quarterbacks and wide receivers are almost becoming pointless. They pick them up as a sign of good faith, but we'll get a contract done. But no one ever plays on it if they're a quarterback for the most part.
You know what's crazy? Why you would even, I agree with Superfish, why would you even consider anything but allowing yourself to just keep Tua franchise tagged in a worst case scenario type of season by season basis? Pay him the franchise tag amount, which is going to be $50 million or something. Pay him the franchise tag amount and play it by ear, And if you got to sign him to it, if he's so good after that season, then you're happy to give him a long-term deal. But why not pay what is already going to be similar to the amount of money he's getting? Because if they give him this money that's near top 5 average, it's ridiculous. The same thing should have been done. The Giants should have gave Barkley his long-term deal and franchise tag Danny Dimes. Why they didn't franchise tag Danny Dimes was idiotic. Just absolutely idiotic. Just such a dumb move by that team. We all knew he wasn't even worth the franchise tag amount, but they wanted to go down that avenue and road. They should have franchise tagged him. It's ridiculous to think that you're gonna be so upset at yourself because you waited and he was an amazing quarterback, That's Tua should not be anything but franchise tagged on his 5th-year option, franchise tagged, just like Superfish said. There's no explanation for anything different. Honestly, the Niners should consider that with Brock Purdy. Franchise tag him. Because, and I'm not talking about now, I'm talking about next off season. Because why would you want let me pull up his contract. Let me pull up Brock Purdy's contract here. So he's a free. And I'm talking about 2026, the next offseason, 2026. So like, here's what I'm thinking. If I am in charge of this situation, now granted he might be upset and hold out or whatever, and you have to deal with all that. I get it, but like think about this logically. Brock Purdy, damn it, I took a screenshot and it didn't save it. Hold on. Brock Purdy, there's a strong possibility that he is not what everybody thinks he's going to be. Is that a fair statement?
I think so. A lot of people will disagree.
Yeah. Not suggesting he's Danny Dimes obvious that he's not going to work out, but maybe he's Tua obvious.
I want to say this too, that Brock Purdy has and will get the most out of his ability.
Right.
He will hit as high as his possible ceiling can be because he works his ass off. He's smart. Knows that playbook. He knew it coming in day one. But I don't know if he has that top 5,
right,
top 8 to top 10 ability.
So Danny Dimes should not have been given a contract. He should have been franchise tagged. I knew he didn't even deserve that necessarily, but they need to go down that road to see, and they found out, great. They wasted their money 1 year. They were not committed to him. The Niners are going to be, I think, regretting what Brock Purdy looks like without CMC and Trent Williams. It's going to be a different Brock Purdy.
Yep.
So if this is me, as a business decision, I'm saying to myself, he plays out 2024, he plays out 2025, and when he's unrestricted free agent in 2026, I franchise tag him. That gives you 3 more seasons with Brock Purdy without giving him this massive contract extension. And I know that pisses people off, and I know that he might hold out. But you know what? Let's say he goes out, wins a Super Bowl next year, okay? Well, then maybe you are looking to extend him because he ends up being better than you thought. But let's say you don't win a Super Bowl next year. You can't, even if you take, let's say you win 2 playoff games, you could let him play on 2025 on his current contract, swing back around in the offseason instead of franchise tagging him. If you win the Super Bowl, let's say that year, then you pay the price. You took a gamble and it worked out because you won, but it didn't work out because you could have inked him and locked him down, but you didn't take the risk of locking down somebody that you shouldn't have locked down. The Niners already screwed up with Trey Lance massively. They can't afford to ruin their franchise. They've already kicked their future in some ways down the road a lot. You go ahead and lock up Brock Purdy on a $500 million deal, and you're going to be potentially doing something similar. And the Niners might have to do a longer contract that allows them to, I'm not saying he's getting $500 million, but remember when Mahomes got his $500 million 10-year deal? Like, they did that so that they could really have flexibility to continue to restructure it and not pay him a bunch of money up front and pay him a lot later on down the road. So it'll be something maybe in between there that the Niners want to do. I don't know, so that they can have abilities to stretch it out. But the Niners also are an organization that doesn't like to kick the can too much. Who knows? Maybe he just signs a typical, 4-year deal, 5-year deal. I don't know. But it'll be interesting if they give him that big, fat, long-term deal so they can maneuver it. Mahomes' deal was brilliant. It was a 10-year, $500 million deal. But the reason it was so brilliant is that they paid him literally nothing in the beginning in the first few years. And then they can just keep restructuring it. And that's why they've been winning championships. They've been winning championships because Mahomes signed a 10-year contract. It was a brilliant move. It allowed them to rebuild their offensive line when everybody said, "Oh, he's $500 million. You can't do anything for a decade." Not true.
No, he's the guy you bet on for a decade. Whereas,
Yeah,
because he
Purdy.
showed it right away.
Yeah, Purdy and Tua are in the same boat to me. I am not giving them $200 million guaranteed. I'm giving them their contract. So Tua, let's see, Brock Purdy, again, he plays this year, 2024, plays next year, 2025. Then he's a free agent in 2026, and I franchise tag him, and I've got him locked down. And he's going to get a boatload of money on that franchise tag. He might be pissed off, but you'd be getting by then it's going to be like 60 mil. So he's getting, a nice little payday there, whether he's pissed off or not. And then Tua Tagvailoa, let me pull up his contract. Let's see what is going on here. Rock out. You have anything else you want to add while you're waiting there, pal? The man, the myth, the legend. Rock out. You there?
Yeah. Is there like a last resort QB you would take late if you're stacking all other positions in the beginning?
Cousins is falling into like the double-digit rounds because people are so worried about Penix Jr. and Penix Jr. is going undrafted. So that is my favorite backup quarterback in best ball. I don't know if we're talking best ball. Is to go with a bigger name QB and then take Cousins in double-digit rounds and take Penix Jr. at the tail end. And then you've got Cousins, Penix Jr., and your starter. You're in best ball, you're set. It's such a crafty way to get your QB2, in my opinion. And real quickly, here's Tua, and you can answer on that. Tua's contract, he's an so he plays out 2024, and then Tua's an unrestricted free agent in 2025. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So he's playing on his 5th year option here. So just to clarify on that for anybody wondering. So he's on his 5th year now. So
he is on his 5th. Okay.
Yeah, he is on his 5th year now. So that means that what I'm saying the Niners should do with Purdy is what the Miami Dolphins are currently in the middle of doing with Tua. So Tua is on his 5th year now, and I think he should play that out. And then if he's the man, then he's going to get paid. Like if they win a Super Bowl or they go to like a championship game, then he's going to get paid. If he doesn't, then it was smart. They can franchise tag him if they want, and then they can also bring somebody else in. Dolphins would be stupid to give him a contract. It would be stupid.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens this year.
Yeah.
But like you said, if he plays great, he'll earn his contract, But I mean, I just it's risky with Tyreek Hill only has a year or two left if he sticks to what he's saying.
Yeah.
And then so things get cloudier there, and I like McDaniels and his offense, but we'll see. Yeah, the only other thing I was going to say, I'll let you get going, was I think it was Young in the comments was saying because of Javonte last year, he's a little worried about drafting like Brooks this year. And I would just say, be careful with that because Breece Hall also was coming off an ACL last year too, And Brooks is truly elite. I think he's an elite talent. Like he was one of the few in the draft that say he didn't blow out his ACL, he would have been a no-brainer. Probably would have been
I don't know what you're talking about,
pick, so.
Football Infinity, saying Smitty stopped cherry picking. Did they win? What are you talking about? What are you even referencing? D Money, you're live on the show. What's up, D Money?
I'm pulling up.
D Money, hello.
I'm here.
What's up? You're live.
Hey, I was calling because I had a question.
Okay.
Okay, my question is, so I'm in a PPR league.
Yeah.
And so I got my keeper already. I got, for the 5th round, I got Breece Hall.
Okay.
He's my keeper in the 5th round. And also, I made a trade. I got Pacheco going for a 6th round pick. So I got my 5th and my 6th.
Okay.
Would it be good? Also, I got another offer out there for my 4th round pick for Brandon Aiyuk. I was wondering what are your thoughts on Brandon Aiyuk with his contract situation, and like if he would have decided to hold out.
Yeah, that's tough, bro. I think he's staying a Niner. No one can afford him. The Niners can't afford him now. The Niners have just shot themselves in the foot because now I don't know. My concern isn't that he stays a Niner or that he eventually gets something. I mean, he could play on his option year and then just kind of, just bank on himself. I mean, it's certainly a possibility, but I think he plays. My concern is, does he have a bad year like Debo did? Does he have a bad year like Bosa did? This Niner way is so far 2 for 2 over the last 2 times this has happened of having the player that has held out, even if they've stayed in shape, even if they work with trainers, even if they eat their Wheaties, they still are totally out of sync because they're not with the team.
Yeah.
And so my concern is kind of with that more than anything.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That was my concern. Like, if he don't practice with the team, he's out of sync because, they don't have the timings off. And if they don't practice, injuries come. So that was just my dilemma on the Fox just because I see a lot of – I'll be watching your mock drafts you be doing, well, your underdog draft.
Yes, sir.
I see
Coach
a lot
Smitty.
of drafts he's going, and I see a lot of his stuff going, they picking him up in the second round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's too early for me. I don't think you've seen me draft Brandon Aiyuk in round 2 one time.
No, not you. I was just
No. I know. I'm just giving you a point of emphasis of how I agree with you.
Right.
You have not seen me draft Brandon Aiyuk one time in the second round in any of the underdog drafts we've done. You see me take Debo several times. So that should tell you how much I believe Debo is more important to the offense. Not to mention if Debo gets traded, he's going to a team that's going to way overpay to get him, and so he's going to be utilized. So I love Debo this year more than I love Aiyuk. Plus, if you can draft Debo and Pearsall together, I feel like it's a really crafty move because I think it protects you. If Debo does get hurt, you got Pearsall, and if Debo doesn't get hurt, he's going to have a big year. And I just worry a little bit about Aiyuk. Now, if push comes to shove, if I've got Aiyuk in an existing league, I'm not trying to dump him or anything. But would I try and trade him on the high? Probably. But, people are worried about him. But they're also not so worried because he's getting drafted in round 2 on Underdog Fantasy promo code Smitty.
Yeah.
So if he's going in round 2, then maybe you could trade him. So I guess you're asking me what I would do. What can you get for him, do you think, in a trade?
Well, I don't have him. The person's trying to trade him to me for my 4th round pick.
Oh, well, give me a couple names of players you're going to get in round 4 because I don't know your league. So.
Well, right now I got the 3rd pick coming up, so I could probably get
with that 4th rounder.
It's a redraft. A 4th rounder.
The one you're trading away. What? So it's Aiyuk versus who? Give me 3 or 4 names so I can tell you the yes or no.
No, it would just be for my 4th round pick.
I get that, bro. But what I'm trying to say is give me the names of players you're going to get with this pick. Give me 3 or 4 names, and I'll tell you whether it's a good trade or not.
I could probably get Jalen Hurts in that round or Lamar. Because I'm thinking I'm going to get one of those quarterbacks.
Give me Hurts 1,000 times over 1,000 over Aiyuk. I don't care if Aiyuk's ADP's in the second round. I want Hurts more than Aiyuk. And this is just another reminder to everybody out there, there's early quarterback doubting Donnies out there, that when push comes to shove and you drive your car off of the lot at the dealership, what happens, D-Money? What happens to it depreciates. And it depreciates not just a little, right? It depreciates a lot. Drive your car off the lot, a couple thousand get knocked off immediately. The reverse happens with quarterbacks. You draft Jalen Hurts in the 4th round, and then as soon as the draft is over, especially when the season begins, you can't trade Brandon Aiyuk for Jalen Hurts if you try.
At all.
You know what I'm saying? The quarterbacks, they don't depreciate when you drive them off the lot. That's why my point will always be true, that quarterbacks, this early quarterback nonsense, don't draft a quarterback early, is hogwash every single year. And people shove it down people's throats and they just keep regurgitating it. That is the proof in the pudding right there. You could not get Jalen Hurts in a trade using Brandon Aiyuk when the season begins. Not a chance in hell.
I agree with you.
Same thing with Josh Allen. You try and get Josh Allen for Brandon Aiyuk later. Try and trade the number 14 overall player for Josh Allen in the middle of the season. Tell me how that works. Tell me how hard it is to make that trade. So what that tells you is that quarterbacks like Hurts and Allen, they quietly, even though no one wants to admit that it's true, during the season hold first round value. But nobody understands that. All right, so grab Hurts. Don't do the trade. But I like your team, bro.
All right, appreciate you. Thanks.
All right, later. Marsman, rock out. Any final thoughts or any follow-ups to what you were saying earlier, and then I'm going to probably jump.
Yeah, we figured my first two picks in JJ and Barkley.
JJ and Barkley, I love it.
Yeah, I got like JJ at like 6, and then I got Barkley like at 16 or 18.
Love it. I mean, again, in best ball, I love it. In a regular draft, I still love it. I still love JJ.
Yeah, in best ball.
I mean, JJ's still top 6 overall to me. Top 6, 7 overall. Like, he still has that. I showed you on the board here that if I'm in a buddy league, a non-best ball, and given the situation, the QB situation, I'm probably putting JJ around 8 is what I had the ranking. But that doesn't mean that I wouldn't have some kind of weird, like, hey, this particular league receivers fly off the board. I do consider that in best player available. That's part of the best player available, like, analysis is like, what's the likelihood of the position drying up? There's all that's included. People think that best player available is just taking the top ranked player on my ranking list. No, it's incorporating everything. Flow of draft, position of need, the flow of each position flying off the board. So even in a non-best ball, there's a world easily where I could take JJ 6. He's in the 6 to 8 for me. There's just a lot of situations where in a non-best ball with buddies, it's one league, I have one shot at it, where I'm just feeling more comfortable with going Hall or Gibbs and then getting the receiver. But JJ's outstanding. I still love him. The fantasy football world is not responding to JJ McCarthy. And I'm actually a little surprised. I thought I was going to be in by myself on this, after the JJ McCarthy drafting. I thought maybe the whole fantasy football population would restore him to 3 or 4 overall, and it didn't happen. So clearly everybody else is kind of scared too. So, but I like that. It's a good start.
Yeah, appreciate it.
All right, later. Rock out to the moon.
Yeah, see it.
Bob from Cali, you got like 30 seconds because I'm on the way out the door.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on stacking Keenan Allen and getting Caleb Williams, or stacking Keenan Allen with DJ Moore and getting Caleb Williams at or below his ADP?
I mean, it's not a horrible plan in best ball to have a team like that in case Caleb does, even if Caleb doesn't win games and there's a problem in Chicago. We've seen Fields score. My whole thing with Caleb is not that he's incompetent as a passer or he'll never have the talent to throw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. I've never once said that about Caleb. Caleb's got an arm. Caleb leading and being able to become the number 1 overall pick and deliver on that expectation is what I think is not as likely. So I don't hate a best ball team that has this variation, but am I doing it more than one time or something? No. Am I probably going to do it? Probably not. But do I condone it? Sure. I think if someone said, hey, Smitty, I just in one draft want to try this, I'd be like, hey, it's kind of a cool idea. Maybe do it with every team. but I don't know. When push comes to shove and I'm sitting there looking at Hurts in round 3 or 4, Caleb could be something you do, add Caleb as your backup even in a best ball, and then he ends up getting in there and doing well. But I'm not going to build my team around that idea, me personally. But I don't hate it. I just don't agree. Like DJ Moore's in a crowded wide receiver room. I don't know that he's any better than. He's probably a worse pick in his ADP range than a majority of those players. So like you look at let me look at a draft right here. So DJ Moore, according to the ADP, let me look at the ADP data actually, and pull up we'll look at the Best Ball Mania or the 2024 season rankings. DJ Moore's ADP is at 26.8 overall. So at 26.8 overall, you're talking about Laporta, you're talking about Derrick Henry, you're talking about Josh Allen, you're talking about Jalen Hurts, you're talking about Kelsey, you're talking about all those guys. I'm not taking DJ Moore over any of those guys. I'll reach on Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen or Mahomes or Kelsey or McBride before I take DJ Moore in a crowd. Like DJ Moore last year is not DJ Moore this year. He not only doesn't have the rapport with his quarterback, the same rapport, he's got two other wide receivers planted right in his situation. So he does not hold the same DJ Moore value he did last year, to me.
If you can get DJ at the 4 and Allen at the 5th, is that a smash?
I mean, it's not bad. I don't hate it. I don't hate it, but it doesn't mean that I'm... you're talking about...
And do you think...
You're talking about DK, Cooper Kupp, Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Travis Kelce, Josh Jacobs, ETN. I still like all those guys over them. It's entering round 4. So I'm still going to say no. To me, if you love the Chicago Bears, bro, trust your gut. I could be wrong on this one. I'm wrong on tons of things every year. This could be one of them. I guarantee you I'm wrong on a handful of things. That's the one guarantee there is in life. Is that there's no way I'm landing it, bro. If I land even 70% of everything that comes out of my mouth, I'm hitting it big for a season because that is a crazy high percentage. So much stuff comes out of my mouth, and I believe I'm consistent with it. But I'm just saying, you measure everything that I say. Any analyst would be having the best season of their life, landing 70% of everything they said. This Caleb stuff, the Chicago stuff. Anything that I say that you strongly disagree with, don't let me convince you otherwise, because this could be in that 30% bucket in my best year ever. I could have a 65% type of year. I mean, it's not as easy as it sounds to predict everything that I'm predicting in this game. There's so many things to try and get right. There's so many things.
Anybody hitting 70% in anything every day is going to go to whatever's past our galaxy.
So, I emphasize it because, like, even in my best year ever, I'm getting 30% of everything that comes out of my mouth wrong. I know it's not a great selling point, but I think people understand what I'm saying. Like, you just got injury, you got coaching, you got, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, the Garrett Wilson, the Aaron Rodgers Achilles injury knocked out, about 5% or 8% of everything I said. That crushed me. Breece Hall ended up, gaining control of some of that loss, and he ended up finishing running back 2. But for the beginning part of the year, and what happened to Garrett Wilson, what happened to Aaron Rodgers, Joe Burrow going down, like those things, so who the hell knows, man? What if Odunze gets hurt and now you have DJ Moore and Keenan Allen not having a crowded wide receiver room, and then it works out for you. So trust your gut.
Do you think those two can both get over 1,000?
Bro, I think I've answered this. I know you want me to say something that I'm not going to say. I don't love Chicago. I don't like that situation. But I could be wrong on it. But I don't know how many ways to say it. I'm not a big believer that it's going to be as good as everybody thinks. I don't know. I think Odunze is the best wide receiver on that team. I don't know that he'll show that until midway through the season. Keenan Allen's 87 years old, bro. How the hell is he going to stay healthy, changing teams, building rapport with the quarterback he doesn't know, amongst all the other things that Chicago might have a problem with that I think they just look great. Remember how good Fields looked coming out of the preseason? Remember he threw those 2 short passes, one to It was Khalil Herbert. The other one was to DJ Moore, I believe. There are 2 screen passes, and it was like back-to-back plays. One screen pass to Khalil Herbert. It was like a 50-plus yard touchdown, untouched. The next pass, DJ Moore, 50-plus yard touchdown. Fields looked like he was going to have the best season, as we were saying he was going to have, that we've ever seen. We're like, how can we be wrong on this? How can we be wrong on this? This is not even just practice. Caleb's throwing in practice. He's in shorts. There's no defenders. Everyone's, oohing and eyeing over what he's doing. And Fields was in uniform. Fields was in uniform against a defense in the preseason, throwing touchdown passes, and everybody was like, what? And it all fell apart during the season. So I am not on board the Chicago Bear turnaround. I'm not saying that Caleb can't prove me wrong, but I don't believe in Caleb. You want me to go to bat for the Bears receivers and for Caleb? I already telling you I wouldn't do it. You could do it, I won't. And I don't think they're both gonna have 1,000 yards. No. Adunze could, Bob. Adunze could, but it might be a late blooming thing. This might be a 900, and then one of them's 1,000 yards. I don't know. And Caleb could have 35 passing touchdowns. Who the hell knows? But he might have like 18 INTs and a very, very up and down season. It's hard to say. Everybody thinks that the Chicago Bears situation is so good. I think it's good. I don't think it's as good as, like, people are putting memes out and images up everywhere out of Chicago going, is this the best 3 wide receivers that's ever stepped on a field before? It's like, get out of here. What are we talking about here?
And I'll ask one more question if I can.
Sure. I'm sure it's about the Bears.
Is Nabers in the same category as the Chicago wide receivers?
I mean, look, Sora wrote Nabers to the moon. I want to say yes, but, to the moon long term, but I don't know about short term, Sora. And to answer your question, Bob, I'm not ruling it out, but am I going to draft him? He's going in a ridiculous second round, oftentimes late second round, and in a best case scenario, like mid to early third round. I want nothing to do with that Malik Nabers value as a rookie with Danny Dimes as his quarterback when Danny Dimes might not even be ready for week 1, which means he's going to have to get used to multiple quarterbacks almost guaranteed this year. And I just don't like that at all, bro. And the fact that Saquon Barkley couldn't score touchdowns and he's one of the most unbelievable running backs in the National Football League, and we're about to see, oh my God, he was mistreated. Look at his glory now in Philly behind an amazing offensive line with a strong offensive coordinator that people are going to doubt and rip on and say, Kellen Moore's this, Kellen Moore that. You watch and see what happens now that he's got his Dallas Cowboy-like weapons back. Kellen Moore's going to do wonderful things. Fangio on D, this field position's going to be amazing. Philly's going to explode, but we're very quick to write off a guy like what's his name, the rookie last year in New York, the receiver. What the hell's his name? I'm blanking out on his name. Hyatt. Yeah, we've already, like, I already forgot his last name. Like, we're writing off Hyatt. We don't know if Hyatt actually didn't develop or anything. Like, I just don't know that Malik Nabers is going to be able to live in the red zone at all. So how is he getting 10 touchdowns? He might be a 3 or 4 touchdown rookie receiver. So how can he go to the moon with that kind of touchdown production? I don't know. You never know, bro. Never know. But I'm certainly not buying the redraft value of Nabers. Hell no. Am I taking him in Dynasty? Yeah, because situations can change really quickly in the NFL. 1 calendar year from now, Shedeur Sanders or Ewers or whoever could be his quarterback.
I appreciate it. One more one-word answer. Does Tua end higher or lower than last year?
What QB was he last year?
I don't know, like 10?
Let me pull up a league.
Maybe 8?
8. 2023 stats. I'm pulling up one specific league. quarterbacks. Tua, yeah, he was 9. Damn. He had a good start to the year. Tua had 29 TDs.
If Tyreek Hill puts up another big year, he could be around that probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't rule it out.
There's so many touchdowns and yards to be had. So many air yards.
I'm gonna say because of the injury factor, he's gonna finish outside what he did last year. I think he's outside the top 10. However, there's so many weapons there, man. If Tua stays healthy, I mean, how can you not produce great numbers? You know what I mean?
It's a very good situation to show the difference between fantasy football and a quarterback that can take you to a Super Bowl potentially. I'm not saying Tua can't, but you can be a top 10 fantasy producer all
You know what's
day long.
hilarious? You know what's hilarious? Brian MC says Tua is like 17. But you know what? He wasn't. He was 9. You know who is exactly 17? Herbert. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll put the screenshot up. Herbert was 17.
And that's the thing. If you were building a team tomorrow, you're taking Herbert, right?
Yeah. Oh, bro, that was so funny. That is hilarious.
That's good. Yeah.
Let me put this up on screen because he's talking mad shiat about Tua and the exact number he threw. This garbage number that he throws out. All right, here's your Justin Herbert ranking. Here's a screenshot, pal. Where's my? Here it is. Here's your screenshot. Justin Herbert. 17. All right. Thanks for the laugh, though, Brian.
I appreciate it, Smitty. Have a good night, man.
All right, man. Later. I felt like I deflated Bob's balloon, but I mean, he wanted so badly for me to say, yeah, okay, you know what, I'm on board. Chicago to the moon. Yeah. But I'm not. And this goes back to Tua. Like, this whole thing of Tua doesn't deserve $50 million a year isn't about his 2024 fantasy football production, because he clearly can score. I mean, he clearly can, but will he stay healthy? That's the problem.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see Tyreek Hill can stay healthy too. James Young just said Tyreek will put up huge numbers and huge gains until November. We'll see. Can he hold up another year? It's a lot of wear and tear on him. Tyreek.
Yeah, I wish Herbert was. Yeah, Herbert in Miami. Everyone's saying Herbert in Miami would have been amazing. That would have been great. I wish Herbert's contract would have allowed him to get traded. I believe that the dead cap wasn't so massive. I think Herbert would have got traded. I think Harbaugh would have drafted J.J. McCarthy. I really think he would have. I think the dead cap made it impossible.
Vikings would have pulled it off. I know the Patriots were called and asked about Herbert too, so there are at least 2 teams trying to do it. And if the dead cap wasn't there, more teams would have been in. Yeah. And like you said, Harbaugh would have. I think he would have been happy to draft McCarthy. I mean, why not? He's building the team how he wants to build it.
Yeah.
You could even argue McCarthy would work better there. He doesn't have the weapons, but in terms of winning football games.
Agreed.
Real quick, I'll let you go. What do you think of on Underdog? What do you think of taking Stafford or Rodgers as your second or third quarterback? Because they're way down there with Kirk Cousins, and I know people like Herbert, but they're even below Cousins.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'm really
this year on them.
I'm really finding myself really intrigued by that secure Cousins and Penix Jr. stack so much that I'm disappointed when I don't get it. Mm-hmm. But I guess I would say, like, if I take Rodgers or Stafford, I want another Rodgers or Stafford. I just can't. Right. I can't for the life of me have just one guy that has an Achilles injury who's 40 years old, Aaron Rodgers, or Stafford, who plays with a broken, spine and like whatever.
Yeah. So more so as like your third or fourth QB, not your second.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Because the upside is there, but like I said, there's considerable risk too.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be flipped. Rodgers could be healthy all year. I mean, Stafford was a surprise last year. I don't think people thought he'd hold up because he started out. I think he was hurt before the season and the offseason or whatever, and he had a pretty good year. So.
All right, Travis. We'll see you later, pal. Appreciate you.
All right, man. Thanks. Bye.
All right, later. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Appreciate everybody dropping a super chat and a comment, et cetera, et cetera. Superfish, thank you. I'll see you all tomorrow for a live stream. I'm going to go watch Tulsa King. Sick Nasty says if he's able to go to Vegas, he's wearing a J.J. McCarthy for president shirt. I like it.
Got him.
Tank Dell merch. I'll drop. The link will be in the YouTube store soon, or the item will be in the YouTube store soon. It's not showing up yet, but here's the link to the Tank Dell shirt if anybody wants to grab it. Here's the link to the Tank Dell hoodie if anybody wants to grab the hoodie, and you can get different colors, etc. But these bad boys are up already. It's kind of it's a Smitty original sketch, and it's kind of like him. He's rising up, like he's down right now. People are doubting him. He's looking to the ground, but he's about to lift his head up and explode and prove all the naysayers wrong. So get that Tank Dell hoodie or T-shirt or merch. Doing it live. I think stickers are even up already. So. See you all tomorrow.
It's time for some revenge, Revenge tour, revenge tour. Revenge tour, revenge tour. Get breached.